Hello and welcome to the Old Bob Show, produced and directed here at Vernon Communications in Westby. Westby is located in the beautiful western Wisconsin area of coulees and valleys and ridges. And we're happy to bring to you now the Old Bob Show, and here is your host, Bob Burrow. Well, hello and welcome again to the Old Bob Show. And I'll tell you what, with spring coming on, one shouldn't be old too long because, boy, spring has got so many activities that are happening. And on top of all that, you know, if you're married to a wonderful person like I am, there's also spring cleaning always keeps popping up in my left ear at times. But spring cleaning is one thing, but going out into the garden and going to school now and then to learn to take advantage of the wonderful soils that are here around the western Wisconsin and Westby and Viroqua and Coon Valley and Chaseburg, all these wonderful places, Stoddard. Everywhere you look, there's beautiful ground in which you can do things. Well, we're very fortunate today, again, for the second time, to have with us Bjorn Bergman. Bjorn, thanks so much for coming on board with us.
Thanks for having me here today.
Bjorn is the outreach director for the Viroqua Food Co-Op, and I'll hold this up, and Janie, you can kind of get a close-up there to look at it. This is the newsletter that that Bjorn and his staff put out at Viroqua Food Co-Op. And of course, most of you identify maybe with Viroqua Food Co-op with a wonderful retail grocery that, I don't know if you call it grocery there or not, but
yeah, it's a grocery cooperative.
Yeah.
And we have a market, well, we call it a market and deli as well, because we have a deli and a bakery and
it's just a fabulous place, Bjorn, to go to. Beautiful sandwiches are made there and lots of fresh fruit and always a very warm and friendly, hospitable environment there. So I thank you so much for coming on board today, Bjorn. Now, this program will be played after the first event that we're going to talk about here that the Viroqua Food Co-op puts on. But it's a big part, but it's really a small part, if you will, of all of the fantastic offerings that the Viroqua Food Co-op offers all of you, and you'll be absolutely amazed about it. And we'll go through as many as we can, Bjorn, before this half hour is over. But you might just talk about the P6 tailgate party, which is going to start on the 21st of March. And we'll have gone on by the time people see us on the show. But
yeah, definitely. So P6 is a program in our store that helps identify food that's kind of our highest values. And what P6 comes from is there's 7 cooperative principles that cooperative businesses kind of follow. The 6th principle of cooperative business is cooperation among cooperatives.
Okay.
Is what it is. So working with other co-ops to build a cooperative economy. And so P6 is kind of building a cooperative trade economy is what we're trying to do.
That's very interesting.
And so we're identifying products in our store that are produced by local producers, produced by cooperative producers, and then also produced by small producers. And when they meet 2 of those 3 criteria, we give them the P6 label.
So in effect, a producer can be anyone who is in organic farming, for example, or anyone who produces garden crops, or
yeah, it can be our definition of local. I'll just tell you that because there's like what's local to you and what's local to me is kind of different. Yeah. But at the Viroqua Food Co-op, our definition of local is within a 100-mile radius of Viroqua Food Co-op.
All right. Okay.
And it's either grown or produced. So we have like our local coffee roaster, Kickapoo Coffee, for example. We consider them a local producer because their business is located within 100 miles. Well, the product they're roasting, the coffee beans, aren't necessarily produced locally. They're roasting them locally and adding value to them and employing people here. Yeah. So that's our definition of local. Co-op is pretty easy. It's a co-op, or a nonprofit also meets that criteria. And then the last criteria, small, is a little more complicated, but any independently owned business, so if it's owned by you or me and not some big corporation, it's a small business. And if it delivers directly to the co-op or through a regional distributor, it can be small. And so for the tailgate party, which was on March 21st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We invited 12 different P6 producers to come to our store. And since we have a small store, we set up a tent in our parking lot.
Okay.
And got a heater from Nelson's Agri Center.
Yeah.
And we had a grill out as well. And in the tent, the 12 producers just taught people about their businesses, sampled different foods. So there's tons of different people that came. I can list off a bunch of them, but Austin's Rush Creek Farm was there, and that's Brian and Carolyn Austin from Ferryville, Wisconsin.
So
and
this is a meeting, if you will, of the kind of the elite cooperatives who are now just combining for this special day. Special event.
It's our biggest event of the year, where people can come to our store and learn about all the great products that we sell. And these are kind of the cream of the crop, if you will.
There you go. There you
the
go.
people that we really want to highlight and showcase.
That's one of the that's one of the yearly annual things that you all do there. But while I am looking at this co-op newsletter. This is the March-April 2015 newsletter, and I'm seeing, for example, the VFC and Driftless Folk School schedule and discounted classes. You cooperate with the Driftless School.
Yeah, and I guess I'll go back to the cooperative principles, but the fifth cooperative principle is education, training, and just essentially teaching people about things. And so we take that very seriously at the Viroqua Food Co-op. And being a smaller food co-op, we don't necessarily have the capacity to put on a lot of educational offerings, but we knew that the Driftless Folk School, a local nonprofit, was in our community, and they were doing a lot of education around culinary arts and gardening and farming and traditional folk schools. So we were like, why don't we partner with them to do education?
As long as you're talking about the Driftless Folk School, I'm going to hold this up, Ginny, and you can kind of get a look at this. This is the Driftless Folk School was on board with us here. There we go. Right. This is where the narrator pans and zooms in the best. But this is incredible. For example, some of the unbelievable. How many programs or how many educational events do the Driftless Folk School?
I think this is the spring and summer catalog, and there's over 100 separate events or courses listed in here that people can attend.
I'm going to put on my peepers, as they're called here.
Go ahead.
And
so what we've done at the Viroqua Food Co-op is we want to make it available for VFC owners to be able to take some of these courses to learn about culinary arts, gardening, or farming.
Let me just talk these things a bit. Here are a few of the many programs. They really grab you. Zero Energy House, Home Brew Wind Power. I mean, that would seem to appeal to anybody in Wisconsin. The Home Brew Wind Power, Natural Horsemanship, Farm Animal Sampling for Farmers, Make Your Own Garden, Whole March.
I'm actually taking that course in March.
Are you really?
Yes, I am.
So tell me about that.
So one of the folk school board members, Robert Schultz, he lives out in Hillsboro. He's an organic farmer. We actually carry a lot of his produce at the Viroqua Food Co-op. But he also is an avid blacksmith and woodworker.
And he has blacksmithing for kids.
Yeah, he has lots of blacksmithing classes if you've ever been interested in that art. But this Build Your Own Garden Hoe course is you go to his farm, and over the course of a whole day, you construct a garden hoe. Using reused and repurposed materials. So we'll be making a metal end of the hoe, and then we'll be constructing a handle too.
It's kind of the Driftless School. Is kind of like a technical college, if you will, except it's sustainable.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit run by a lot of community educators.
Making masonry ovens, learning the art of dry stone walls, and twined basket class, stake and strand willow baskets. My goodness, hobbit jars, advanced throwing. What is that?
I think that's a clay class, actually.
Oh, okay.
So that's working with some clay.
Yeah.
So there's lots of crafts.
You bet. And here we have fermentation for better health, baking with sourdough bread. I mean, there seems that there's a subject here for anyone's desires in terms of culinary and French cooking, seasonal cooking in summer, I'll hold that up again here, Driftless Folk School.
Yeah.
And
You can stop by the Viroqua Food Co-op and pick up a catalog, or you can
There you
go
go. There you
to the Driftless Folk School's website, which is driftlessfolkschool.org.
we'll ask Randy if she'll, put that up in the credits there. That would be really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, but so what we've set up with them is VFC owners. If you're an owner of the Viroqua Food Co-op, you can get $10 off 25 different classes in the catalog that are either cuisine classes focused on the culinary arts or farming and gardening. And so that's just a way to create space for our owners to learn more about what's important to us at the Viroqua Food Co-op, which is really food and farming.
Yeah, and Bjorn is always most of the time, is probably at the Viroqua Food Co-op.
Yeah.
So, if you want to stop in there, as you, if you're going through Viroqua, it's a must stop, absolutely. And you have all of these bulletins on display or for people to pick up, I'm sure.
Yeah, if you come in our front door, we have a little front entrance, and there's a bulletin board with lots of community events going on. And right now, we have the catalog sitting out there that people can pick up for free. And again, it's all online as well.
Right, now I'm going to hold this up, Jeannie, here, and I don't know how close you can get, but as we look at it, when you're looking at this on the screen, it's on your right-hand side. There up in the upper left-hand corner right there is a picture of one of the projects that Bjorn is doing. What's it called, Bjorn?
Oh, well, that's my partner Heidi, and she's teaching a class on building your own low tunnel. And
what is that?
It's like a mini greenhouse for your garden. So maybe it's only like waist high, and you just use plastic conduit, and you get greenhouse plastic and put it over like greens or things that are cold hardy, and you can grow crops in the springtime or through the winter at your own home. So that class is just building your own low tunnel and learning about growing greens in there. So
and then you do another class called The Beauty of Growing Dry Beans.
Yeah, actually the front picture on the front cover of the catalog I actually took. In my spare time outside of the Viroqua Food Co-op, I'm or this one, right here. Yeah.
Right here, yeah. So here's, and this is what you grew.
Yes, those are some beans that I grew. But in my spare time, I'm a very avid gardener, and one of my big passions is growing beans. And
there we are. Thank you, Jenny.
So I'm teaching
look at that.
A course in there about growing your own dry beans, and people can come and help harvest some beans and help clean and winnow them.
And where do you do that?
It's going to be in Viroqua, one of my gardens.
And one of your gardens? Yeah. How many gardens do you have?
I had 4 last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work.
Oh, it is. It's kind of another full-time job, but I really like it. It's one of my big passions.
Another topic is fly fishing for women and karst geology. What's karst geology?
I think that's Dr. Calvin Rodolfo. He's
that's dolomites and limestone.
Yeah. But he's a geologist, and it's just a course talking about the geology of the driftless region. So learning about all the different landforms.
I'll tell you what, this area is loaded with incredible opportunities for anyone from all ages.
Yeah, whenever I look at the Driftless Folk School catalog, I'm always just so impressed with the amount of knowledgeable people we have around here who are willing to share all of their information or any information that they have with other people.
It's what you put together here, Bjorn, is a really good picture of a group of people. The Viroqua Food Co-op, for example, all of you there, and the board of directors and all that, who are facilitating, providing opportunities and facilitating the whole community as individuals to become, producers as well as instructors and teachers. And so, for all of them who participate, all of you who participate here, you've got the joy not only of working with Mother Earth, so to speak, and with all the wonderful things that she provides, as well as literally enriching your own life in terms of being a steward and a producer.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when it all comes down to it, it's just all about building community and being a more resilient, locally based community that has a local economy. So when we teach people things and give them these skills, they're able to in turn teach other people and
yeah.
provide other things to other people in their community, whether it be through cooking or agriculture or starting a new business.
Exactly. I keep going back to, you know, the counter would be tax supported, and they do well, and the technical colleges, for example, the non-liberal arts colleges, but the technical colleges like La Crosse, or UW Tech here
WTC.
yeah, exactly. And they in turn do a great job, but it's probably more focused for a longer term period on building certain skills.
Yeah.
Whereas here, my goodness, you've got a myriad of skilled people doing many, many different things, and of course, passing that on to other people as well.
Yeah, and I feel like in today's day and age with all sorts of technology, I think what the Driftless Folk School really offers is just an ability to work with your hands and learn skills that you can do with your hands. And I think that's really important for future generations to learn those skills.
Oh, absolutely. It's been the core of our evolving civilization, if you will, and it goes way back when we were all working with our hands in the ground and nothing else. But are you the only cooperative here, like in Viroqua, that has this broad scope of individual industry, if you will, in terms of facilitating it?
Well, there's lots of other cooperative businesses in Vernon County. I think we're actually really well off. There's Vernon Communications, which
but that's more of a private.
Well, that's a telephone cooperative, so it's a cooperative as well. There's Westby Co-op Credit Union, which is a cooperative.
Exactly.
There's Vernon Electric Co-op.
Yeah.
There's Westby Co-op Creamery, which is a farmer-owned co-op. There's Organic Valley, which is another farmer-owned co-op. There's Fifth Season Co-op in Viroqua, which is working to distribute local foods to institutions. There's Centerpoint Counseling Cooperative, which is a mental health counseling cooperative that's based in Viroqua. There's Viva Art Gallery, which is an artist cooperative in Viroqua. So there's tons of other cooperative businesses. The Viroqua Food Co-op is a consumer-owned food cooperative that's just based on providing groceries to our owners and our community as well.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, as you listed those off, Bjorn, you know, but you can't help but think this is a mecca.
Yeah.
In this area here of co-ops and of cooperatives, there's no doubt about it. You know, boy, I remember, you know, a way ancient history now when I was in, you know, undergraduate at Madison, Wisconsin. And we had a class on the cooperative, on co-ops.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It was a long time ago, and the cooperative movement was a big deal.
Yeah.
Then, because back in the when was it? Back in the whenever the very early 50s.
Yeah.
49, 50, something like that. They were coming along, but it was still kind of a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because where we are in the Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan are kind of, I don't know, when communities here have problems or their needs aren't getting met within a community, whether they can't get electricity or telephones, and this is back in the day, or food, or farmers can't find anyone to pick up their products and distribute it, especially with dairy products. A solution that we've just turned to historically is the cooperative business model.
Yeah.
Like Westby Co-op Creamery, they're over 110 years old now, I imagine, but back in the day, there was a bunch of dairy farmers in the area, and they couldn't figure out how to get their milk to market. So they formed a farmer co-op. To pick up all of their milk and process it into cheese or whatever products.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just a way that when your needs aren't being met in your community, and you get a big group of people together that want a similar thing, they can form a co-op and do that.
You know, you had and the phenomenon of that. If you look at the names of these co-ops that you're mentioning, the farmer shows up a lot.
Oh yeah.
and these co-ops really sprung out of the ground in terms of being a rural enterprise. And as you said, it got together in terms of surviving and also of capitalizing, if you will, on their products. I mean, we mentioned Vernon Communications. We have the Coon Valley Farmers Telephone Co-op.
Yeah.
And boy, I mean, that started with a couple of farmers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And believe it or not, Bjorn, I used to, when I was a little kid, I used to climb up and down the local road utility poles for the farmer who was the manager of that little utility, which wasn't a co-op, it was just kind of a little private deal there. But it turned into a co-op.
Yeah, and what's so awesome about the co-op business model to me is that, like in those situations, especially when it comes to electricity and telephone, way back in the day, maybe you might remember this, but in a lot of, I'm poking fun at you.
Yeah, and the party line, you know, and all that.
But a lot of rural areas, the privately held businesses wouldn't run telephone lines or electricity lines to their farms because it just wasn't profitable for them.
Right.
It was very capital intensive to run those lines. And so people and these farmers got together and created a co-op to do that. And no one else was going to serve them unless they got together collectively.
That's exactly right.
And so it's been really important, especially in rural areas, that co-ops have sprung up to meet those
And
needs.
along the way, the REA, for example, you mentioned electricity, the Rural Electrification Agency came along, and wow, that really pumped money and energy into these co-ops.
Yeah.
And that's why we have all the fantastic electronics here in our rural areas now today.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely wouldn't have high-speed internet or anything like that unless it was for rural electrification.
I'm talking with Bjorn Bergman, who is the outreach director for the Viroqua Food Co-op. And they're awfully nice to have you on board. And as you can tell, if you've been listening and watching, boy, what an outreach director. You've got a wonderful, wonderful memory, or I should retainage of these incredible programs, a zillion of them, if you will. Let's go back to the Viroqua Food Co-op itself in Viroqua. That's been there for how long?
It's actually our 20th anniversary this year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's hard to believe. Maybe I'll just share with you a little bit about the history of the Viroqua Food Co-op.
Yes, please do, please do.
So our foundings was in the early 90s. There was a lot of folks in Viroqua whose needs weren't being met in terms of having access to local, natural, or organic foods. And they didn't necessarily want to drive every single week to La Crosse to go to People's Food Co-op. And so they started a buying club, and that's where a organic food distributor would stop at somebody's farm and drop off a pallet, and you'd have volunteers that separated it out. And so Viroqua Food Co-op started as a buying club, and it was lots of work and hard labor and volunteer time to do that.
So what happened, individuals connected to this would go out to the farmers?
Well, that would happen sometimes. Bill and Sarah McDonald were two. They no longer live here, but they had a farm between Westby and Viroqua that was kind of like the buying club headquarters.
All right.
And they did that for a number of years. There was a few instances where the truck was coming to deliver things, and there was too much snow in their driveway. It wouldn't come down the driveway, and they had to get a trailer on their vehicle and go pick it all up.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And just a lot of hard work that way. People put a lot of their blood, sweat, and tears into creating that buying club. And in 1995, they just decided that they needed to change what they were doing and get a storefront in Viroqua is what they ended up deciding. And they incorporated as the Viroqua Food Co-op, so that's when we became a cooperative.
And that was in 1995.
1995. And we opened a small retail location behind Nelson's Agri Center. It was at 303 North Center Street, and there was only 600 square feet of retail space that you could buy groceries from. You could only let like one person in the store at a time.
Yeah.
And we were in that store for 10 years, and we expanded it a little bit. I think it was 900 square feet when we moved out. We added a bigger bulk section, and we met with our owners a lot around about 2003 to 2005, and our owners were like, we would like a bigger store that has more offerings, bigger produce section, a deli and bakery. And what came out of that is the store that we have now at 609 North Main Street. We built the biggest store that we could build with the loans that we got. Yeah. And that store is 10 years old now. And so in September, I think it's like September 5th is actually going our 20th birthday as a cooperative, opening our cooperative. So it's going to be really exciting.
What a story of, you know, of industry and vision and cooperation.
Yeah.
And it was fed by, you know, the excitement within the hearts of all of these founders and builders, but it was also an economic and capital thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, cooperatives, like we need to make money, or we need to stay in the black
Yeah,
at least
precisely.
to stay afloat. But we're really there to serve our community as well. So the need in the community was to get local and organic food, and these people came together. And over time, it went from being just volunteers, and today we have 60 employees.
60.
60.
Wow. Wow.
And so we've created that many jobs in our community.
That is, what a story, folks. I mean, this is a non-tax supported, this is a privately supported, sustainable, if you will, enterprise by all the efforts and the hard work and of zillions of people, literally, really. But again, you go back to those early people who helped found it, saw the necessity, and they worked together. There was no dissension in that group.
Yeah, and you know, anytime you work in a group, there's little quirks here and there, but all these people had this common vision to create a grocery store that they could have access to local and organic foods, and that vision turned into what we have today.
Sure. And it's now reaching out, if you will, to not only food and produce, but to an incredible number of other cooperative ventures with people like the Driftless School, that have many courses that are being offered for anyone who wants to have an opportunity with it. You know, I think that this whole thing about you know, being giving the gift of life here in this area or in a free area where you can do as you wish, but you need to be accountable and responsible, of course. But you have the opportunity of life, and so now you've got many opportunities to do something with it. And boy, what a wonderful living example of really taking advantage of something like that. And you know, I like the word capitalizing on it, which is what you're doing. And it is capitalization, but it's done in a way that involves everyone, and it's a stewardship, if you will, of not only the person's own energies and visions, but of what's been given to us.
Yeah, totally. And I guess I'll just go back to the cooperative principles on this one. The seventh cooperative principle is concern for community.
Right.
And as a cooperative, yes, we need to be profitable, but we also need to serve our community and serve the people that live here. And so this is the way that we can give back to them.
There you go. Bjorn, you just put a wonderful ending to our quick half hour here, and I appreciate so much. Well, you must come back again, and sometime during the summer, and we can talk about where you're all going. But
definitely,
congratulations to you and to your staff, colleagues there, and you know, the best wishes for good prosperity and good production.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Bob.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Bjorn Bergman, what a pleasure, and we'll be talking to Bjorn again later on. And meanwhile, go visit the Viroqua Food Co-Op and pick up all these wonderful bulletins and good ideas, not only from Bjorn, but from many other people there as well. You all have a good week now and good spring production. God bless.